Yo, what's going on, everybody? My name is Georgi Maviv, sitting here at David's Guitar Loft Lesson Studio in Webster Groves, Missouri, right outside St. Louis. And today, dude, we're gonna be going over some tapping stuff on the guitar. Fundamental tapping, nothing crazy, nothing wonky. This is for people just trying to get into the world of tapping, okay? So let's get to it. All right, so we got our guitar here. Let's talk about some tapping stuff. Okay, so what is tapping? Tapping is just taking your right hand and you just tap a fret. That's essentially all it is. Most of the time, you do see it blended with some hammer-ons and pull-off things like things like that, right? Okay, so we're gonna get into it. So that's kind of all it is. So for me, because I like playing with a pick when I'm playing electric guitar, I've learned to get comfortable tapping with my middle finger, so that way my thumb and index can still occupy holding the pick, right? I've seen some people where they're playing and then they'll sneakily go from here and they'll put the pick in their middle finger so that way they can use their index finger for the tapping stuff. And if you can get away with doing that, that's fine, but to me that seems like a lot of work and you're kind of running the risk of dropping your pick, trying to transition from holding it like this to, you know, getting it in your middle finger so you can just tap away. Even right there, I almost dropped the dang thing. So for this lesson, we're gonna be focusing on using our middle finger to do the tapping while our index finger and thumb holds our pick in our hand, right? So what are some things you can do to practice tapping, okay? So when it comes to tapping, you should have a good foundation of hammer-ons and pull-offs. If you don't, I would definitely suggest doing that. But let's say just for funsies, you don't. Your hammer-ons and pull-offs are whack. You're just not great at it, but you wanna get down the road of tapping. Okay, sweet. So for this quick little exercise here, let's say you don't want to do the hammer-on thing. You just want to use one finger and then tap on the other. That's totally cool, but now we're really just moving between two notes, and more than anything, I guess it just varies, but for this instance, your index finger on your left hand on the 5th fret, that's going to be the pedal tone note. That's going to be the thing that constantly repeats, and then your right hand is going to be shifting and moving the melody around, okay? So let's do the 5th fret, 1st string, and then we're just gonna tap the 12th fret, right? That's it. And then when you pull off, a lot of people get the pull off wrong. So what a pull off really is basically, to me, it's like a micro bend, right? So when you tap down, you should, your finger should be really digging into the string, and then you're just doing this very subtle micro bend because you're pulling the string down this way. You're not just going up, right? You're not going like that. Kind of works, but what works better is, right? You're pulling it down and there's friction between your finger and the string, and you're slowly pulling it down, and then you just release after you've think of like a rubber band, right? You're pulling the rubber band and then you release the rubber band. That's literally what we're doing with the string. There is a downward force with our tapping hand. You can also do an upward force. The point is to get some tension with the string in your finger and build that tension up and then release it. So you can go up, and you can, when I do it up, you can hear that bend even more. Right, so now I'm bending it slightly up as I'm tapping. You don't want to like use half the power. You want to go full force when you're tapping it down, especially in the beginning when you're just trying to make sounds come out of it. I definitely recommend practicing this in the beginning with like a very high gain kind of tone. That'll help, right? Kind of push you a little bit to get this whole vibe. But then once you have this down, you can start moving things around. You can go from here right? Right, all I'm doing there is going from 12, 13, 15. And then you can also move your left hand as well as your right hand when you're doing this. So maybe we start at 12 and 5th fret on the left hand here. And then we move down a whole step to G. So our left hand is on G, our right hand is going to move down to the 10th fret, which is D. And really we're doing like this perfect 5th harmony thing between A and E, and then G and D. And then you don't have to move them in unison, right? You can move one hand and keep the other where it's at, and left or right, right? So we can do the right hand harmony thing, or we can do the left hand harmony. So practice that. Now, if you wanted to incorporate 2 fingers on your left hand, this is where you're going to need to hammer on something. And instead of being abstract about this, we're going to focus on chord tones, right? So we're going to stay on A. And if you know how to outline an A minor chord, the notes are A, C, and E, right? So when you're tapping, it's a good idea to start with outlining those chords like that. Let's take A, and then we're going to hammer on to the 8th fret on the 1st string, and then we're going to tap the 12th fret. And what we just did there was outline an A minor chord. Okay, so right, all we're doing there is outlining an A minor chord. And the trick here is with the pull off, you do the same thing we talked about with our right hand with the tapping, bending down, but this also applies for a regular pull off. When you're just pulling off, your finger is building tension with a string and literally pulling it like a rubber band and then just releasing it. And then you can use your index finger almost like some kind of lever that counteracts the pull, because if we pull everything together, right, everything's getting pulled. So your index finger is fighting a little bit to keep that string in place. Let's see if there's a better angle right here. Yeah, like this, right? So it takes a little bit. And that's just 5, 8, and 12. Right? And then once you get this down, you can start incorporating other chords. And this is where you get into harmony, right? And chordal harmony stuff, right? So if we were outlining a very simple and nice chord progression, let's say A to F to C to G. So we can take A, F, C, and G and apply it in a tapping method, right? So we have A minor. Okay, now when we go to F, we can just find F here and do it, you know, F, A, and C, 1st fret, 5th fret, and 8th fret. But to me, that's a little cumbersome. It's a bit of a stretch. So what I like to do is just think about the notes we're playing there, F, A, C, right? And then figure out how can I make it easier to play for me. Well, 2 of those notes we played in the previous chord, A and C, and our right hand was tapping on E. So if we just go up a half step to the 13th fret, there's our F. So right here, there's our F major chord. Really, it's like F major's 1st inversion, but it's F major. So we have A minor, and then you just move your middle finger from the 12th fret to the 13th fret, right? And then we're going to go to C. So maybe from here, we can go to the 8th fret, which is C, 12th fret, which is E, and then 15th fret is G. So we're outlining a C major chord, C, E, and G, right? And then now for G, we have options. We can either go all the way to the root position, 3rd fret, and outline G major chord, going 3, 7, and then 10, right? which would be G, B, and D. Or we can go 7, 10, and 15. And this really comes down to like harmony, right? How do you want to harmonize this piece, right? Because the thing you got to keep in mind when you're doing these tapping things is the melody should move, and that's really, it's kind of subjective. It's up to you, really. But to me, when I think about, okay, well, this note in C is G. I don't know if I want to like finish off the end of the tune going to hitting that G again. I kind of want to move the G away from it. Maybe, maybe not. We can see how it sounds. That sounds okay, but I think it might sound better if we move this high note down to D. So which brings us to this bit of, it's a bit of a stretch, but that's okay. In this case, we're doing G on the 3rd fret, B on the 7th fret, and then we're tapping the 10th fret, which is D. A little bit of a stretch. So there's one musical example on how you can utilize tapping and find ways to practice with it, right? So just find other chord progressions you like and run with it. Lots of cool stuff you can do with tapping. I hope you found this video informative. I'm sure we'll do many, many more videos on tapping and other cool wonky things we can do with it. So if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, leave us a comment. Let me know what you think. If you're in the Webster Grove, St. Louis area, come on by David's Guitar Loft. Take a lesson with me. Check out our selection of guitars and amps and everything like that. And I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.